good people of the internet, I hope we are well. And obviously some of you horrible ones as well. Now, you will all know about Raymond, and maybe even some of you will know what it's like having a white cat. But when you have a white cat, their hair gets absolutely everywhere. So that is what you have caught me doing at the start of this episode, is picking out some of Raymond's white hairs from the mic, which obviously gets us off to a very, very solid professional start. Hope we are all good. I'm just looking at the laptop as well, because you guys are here. The laptop is here that lets me see everything that's going on. And I'm looking at how sad that plant looks in the background. And it's a plant we have really, really struggled to help thrive. So if anyone's watching this on video and you can see this plant and you know what type of plant it is, and you have any advice, we would love some, because we're struggling with it. We're struggling to help it. And after what has been a very productive weekend, it's Monday today. We had a very productive weekend. Since we've moved into this house, the garden has needed some TLC, so we used Saturday to kind of give it that TLC. So we spent about 5 hours in the garden, lifting slabs, putting compost down, trying to help the grass out a little bit as well. The grass was very holy when we got here, so repairing that has been top of the priority, because when we've gone to cut it, because our lawnmower's not very good either, the handle lifts off, so when you're cutting the grass and it's been quite bumpy, it's like fucking going up a rally track or something. So it's been an adventure trying to replenish the garden. So if anyone has any grass revitalizing tips or plant revitalizing tips, then please help your boy out, because we could do with it. But without further delay, I am going to be talking about menopause, and I'm going to be talking about fat loss. And before I do that, I just want to acknowledge, as a coach who predominantly helps rundown women who feel like it's all downhill after the age of 40, that women are fucking amazing. Like, you are absolutely fucking amazing. And I don't just mean that from like a physiological perspective, but I just mean that in general, as a man who's kind of gone through his own life at this point, the amount of female support I have had to get to this point is just, I would never have done it without strong women in my life. And that's just testament to character and attitude. Obviously, what we're going to talk about here is a bit more physiological, which is fucking even more impressive when you think about it, that at some point in your life you are going through some stage of menopause, whether it's pre-menopause, perimenopausal, you're menopausal, you're post-menopausal. For a large part of your life, you're going through some stage of menopause. And then what you also combine that with the fact is that to help you manage sort of menstrual cycle symptoms, a lot of women, and I mean a lot of women, are prescribed contraception as well to help sort of regulate hormones, manage symptoms of your menstrual cycle. And rightly or wrongly, I think that women, when they go to visit GPs, doctors, whoever it is they go to see to help them with sort of regulating their hormones, regulating their menstrual cycles, regulating their symptoms of menopause, are quite often palmed off with some form of contraception or some form of pill, which loses probably the most important component, I feel, when it comes to not only successful weight loss, not only successful fat loss, but in just being a human being, and that is mental and emotional support for women who struggle with their menstrual cycle, who struggle with their menopause, and then maybe as a result or independently of those things as well, struggle with their weight loss, struggle with their fat loss, and again, to go even further, struggle with their feelings and emotions around all of these things. To be a woman is a clusterfuck, but also to be someone who helps support women get on top of these things is fucking incredible. Like, women, you're incredible. And I'm hoping that by creating this podcast, I can help sort of provide some clarity, not on female physiology. I'm not going to go into that too much, even though it is probably one of the most amazing things ever, but how you can sort of help kind of start to bring yourselves out of what maybe has been a bit of a clusterfuck mentally, emotionally, up until this stage in your life. So where I think would be a good place to start would be with what is menopause. It's a multitude of different things, but in a nutshell, it's the maturation of the female body, and more specifically of the sexual reproductive system. Now, what happens during menopause is, as the ovaries start to mature, they start to produce less estrogen and progesterone, which are two of the biggest players when it comes to the regulation of a female menstrual cycle and sexual activity. So, in a nutshell, when we talk about sexual activity, when we talk about pregnancy, we talk about childbirth, these are big components, both in a male and female's life, but more specifically in a female's life. And it's not just the maturation of the ovaries, it's not just the maturation of the female body, it's what comes as a result of that as well, particularly with estrogen. Now, estrogen plays such a huge part in brain function, more specifically in regulating mood, helping improve sleep, and helping regulate cognitive function as well, which for any woman who's going through menopause right now will understand the brain fog that comes along with that, the hot flashes that come along with that, the poor sleep quality, again, that comes along with that, and the feelings and emotions that are associated with struggling with these things. You combine that with the fact that estrogen plays such a massive role in brain function, helping regulate mood and feelings and emotions and all these sorts of things. Anyway, you've got a little bit of a whirlwind of fuckery there, shall we say, for lack of a better term. So you combine that with the fact that estrogen also plays a massive role in how your body stores body fat as well. So if you're someone who's struggled with your weight, you're someone who's struggled with your body fat up until this stage in your life, which is something that I know people struggle with. It's the reason why I have the job that I have. It's the reason why I have this podcast. It's the reason why I am so passionate about what it is that I do, because I know that not just women, but thousands, millions of people struggle with their weight every single day. But as a woman's body matures and as it produces less estrogen, it also affects how your body stores body fat as well. So again, like I said, if you're someone who up until this point has struggled with your weight loss, struggled with your fat loss, you're now having to contend with the fact that as a result of your body producing less estrogen, it is now more prone to storing body fat around the abdomen area, as opposed to around thighs and hips, and sort of storing it more generally across the body, which in turn is going to affect your mood, it's going to piss you off, it's going to make you feel upset, it's going to make you feel frustrated, it's going to make you feel frustrated, it's going to make you feel demotivated as well. Because again, up until this point in your life, you've struggled with your weight loss, you've struggled with your fat loss. Now you're combining that with the fact that physically, as a result of your body producing less estrogen, it's now storing body fat in areas of the body that you just don't fucking want it to. Again, contributing to that clusterfuck of emotions that you already feel as a result of struggling with your weight loss, struggling with your fat loss throughout your life, but as a result of menopause. So up until this point, you've really, really struggled. And now that you've hit menopause, you're probably feeling like it's all like it is all downhill from here. But what I want you to know is that it's not. And I think what the internet has done is it's done a very I always criticize the internet. I always criticize social media. And the reason that I do that is because there is a lot of shite on social media. There is a lot of shite on the internet. But to be specific, a lot of shite on the internet and social media that paints menopause as being a reason for not losing weight and not losing body fat, when in theory, whilst that is true, it's not for the reasons that you think it is. And whilst, like I said, in theory, going through the menopause does make fat loss harder, it's not because of the menopause that you can't lose weight. It's because you're not in a calorie deficit. And by going through menopause doesn't make you immune to the laws of physics, which is that if you're in a calorie deficit for a period of time, you will lose body fat. But from what we understand about menopause and your body no longer producing as much estrogen as it used to, as much progesterone as it used to, how this affects brain function, how this affects the regulation of mood, hormones, sleep, etc., etc. As a result, we're going to find it harder to feel motivated, feel fulfilled, feel energetic. We're going to feel a lot more lethargic as a result of the menopause, as a result of less estrogen going through our body. We're going to feel, like I said, less motivated, which, what happens when we feel that way? Well, if you're not already speaking back to me, I'm not going to hear it, obviously. But let me give you all the things that you've literally just been saying. When you feel demotivated, when you feel lethargic, when you feel less energetic, you're going to move less. You're going to feel less motivated to exercise. You're going to feel less motivated to get yourself up and make a home-cooked meal, which means you're going to lean more towards convenience, which means that you're probably going to enjoy a few glasses of wine because you're more likely to want to lie on the couch and do nothing. You are more likely to order in, for example. You are probably more likely to get into arguments with your hubby or your family or your friends. And then what's that going to do? That's going to compound your mood. That's going to compound your energy levels, which is only going to lead to you doubling down on leaning more into convenience, order in, not eating nutritionally dense foods, not wanting to exercise, not wanting to move. So you can see sort of the vicious cycle that's starting to appear here, and none of that is your fault. None of that is your fault. But you are in control of how you react. And you could argue, whilst I'm not going to give you some fancy solution that I'm hoping that by listening to this you weren't expecting, and on the internet you are prone to hearing some fancy promise or some secret to getting on top of your weight loss and getting on top of your menopause woes. I'm sorry, this podcast is not going to be for that. It's going to be for some honest truths, and that whilst none of that is your fault, And I am sorry that up until this point you have felt like it has been downhill from here, and that you are going through what it is that you're going through mentally and emotionally as well as physically as a result of menopause. You are very much in control of what you do next. And there are 3 things, 2 very, very obvious, third maybe a little bit less obvious up until this point, that I am going to recommend that you get started on if you are a menopausal woman who's struggling with your weight loss, who's struggling with your fat loss, and feeling like it is downhill as a result of your menopause. Number 1 is exercise. Of course. Okay? Now, whilst best case scenario, weight-bearing exercise is what you're going to want to aim for. So, best case scenario is that you can get yourself into the gym and lift weights. But I understand that for a lot of women, especially up until this point, it's probably never been something that you've actually learned how to do. So, the best alternative is, like I said, weight-bearing exercise. Could it be a yoga class? Could it be a Pilates class? Could it be a yoga class or a Pilates class that you can do on YouTube from the comfort of your own home? You've got options. Could it be a core exercise on YouTube that you can do within the comfort of your own home? Again, you've got options. Whilst the best case scenario is that you can get yourself into the gym and lift weights, whether that be machine-based, barbells, dumbbells, amazing, absolutely unreal, but not completely necessary. So you've got a couple of options there. Second is your diet. Now, again, I'm not throwing any sort of surprises out there. There's nothing that you're going to hear me say that you're going to think, oh my God, that's the secret, that's the magic pill. I am sorry for that, but your nutrition. And it's what you do in the moments when you don't feel like doing it that are going to contribute the most. So when you are feeling lethargic, when you are feeling tired, when you are feeling demotivated, when you are feeling a little bit off mentally, emotionally, and you are having those thoughts in your head of leaning for convenience, and you are leaning for the phone or to order in that Domino's or that Chinese or whatever it is that you're into, that making smarter decisions nutritionally is going to help you massively. And I mean more specifically from a fruit and veg perspective. Making sure that you're getting plenty of fruit and veg in your diet. Leafy green veg specifically. Plenty of seeds, nuts, things that help regulate hormones, help support the endocrine system, so that we can help you get back on top of helping you support and work through your feelings and emotions. And probably the third one that is the most helpful for that, whilst exercise and nutrition is going to be massively important, third one would be to reach out. Now, the biggest thing that I see women struggle with, particularly menopausal women, is feeling like they're isolated. It's feeling like they're alone. And whilst understanding that, yes, they are menopausal, and yes, their body is changing, probably up until this point you haven't had the mental and emotional support that you have probably needed to help manage not just menopause, but other times in your life as well. So this could be the first time that you're actually thinking about doing this, or this could be the first time that you actually heard someone suggest that this is something that you should do. You should reach out. You could reach out to me. You could reach out to other women in your circle who are maybe potentially going through the menopause as well. You can reach out to members of a gym, if you're members of a gym or members of a community of some sort. Speak to family, speak to friends, because they're going to be the ones who are closest to you and who spend the most time with you and who are probably going to experience the mood swings, the results of the hot flashes, more than anyone that isn't just you. So reaching out, communicating how you feel is going to be massively important, because none of what you're feeling or none of what you're going through is your fault. because you can't help this stage in your life. You also can't help how you've been encouraged to regulate your menstrual cycle up until this point either. And one of the biggest things that I felt that women have lost out on because they've been palmed off with contraception or something else is the mental and emotional support or lack of up until this point. So reaching out is going to be massively, massively important. And my inbox is always open, okay? So what I'm hoping this podcast has done is helped you realise that, yes, menopause suck, but women are fucking awesome. Menopause suck, but women are fucking awesome. And that it's not all downhill here as a result of your menopause. And that there are things that you can do. And that it's not because of your menopause that you can't lose weight or that you can't lose body fat, because you're not exempt from the laws of physics. If you are in a calorie deficit for long enough, you will lose body fat. It's how you go about doing that. And it's leaning more in towards knowing that a bit of mental and emotional support is going to go a very long fucking way. So if that's something that you need help with, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.